Shall I get started? Yes. So, good afternoon. Welcome everybody and thanks for joining. I think we will have around 100 to 200 people on the line today, so it's an exciting moment. My name is Marloes Fischer. I am hosting today's session. I'm the initiator of Madaster Switzerland and founder of the Circular Hub. Passionate about circular economy and very happy to have you all here with us today. Today is a milestone for not only for Madaster Switzerland, but also for Madaster International. It's the first launch outside of the Netherlands, which started in 2017. And there's a lot of hard work for many of us. First of all, the team in the Netherlands that has actually enabled us to be here and to show us a Swiss solution. Then, second of all, our Kennedys, the Swiss partners that have made it possible to develop in the Swiss market. And then last but not least, my team, who has been very flexible with my impatient and very engaged with all of the ventures that I have initiated the last couple of years. And a very big thank you also to Swiss Re for giving us the opportunity, facilities, ensure that we have a professional system where we can host this session today. Thank you very much, Vince. Some practical tips to all of you. As I mentioned, we are in a webinar, although we wanted to see you all in person, circumstances that weren't ideal. So with this, we've actually opened up the audience to a much broader range. We have people from industries, various backgrounds, and from various parts in the Swiss market. So both French-speaking, German-speaking, even a few Italian-speaking participants. That means that we present today in English. Thank you very much for all people to join us. If you have any questions, you can, throughout the session, present those in the chat function. Those will be written and read, and we will try to answer as possible at the end of the presentation. We have a few presentations today, so the questions will be answered at the very end. So the camera today, or today, is a short welcome in which we are now. Then I'm very happy to have Ken Webster with us. He's in the supervisory board of Madaster. We get a perspective, circularity and real estate from Thomas Rau and Pablo von Bosch, both founder of Madaster. Then we get an industry perspective from Swiss Re, Sprache, and ZPF, and we have then introduction to the platform myself, and a lot of questions hopefully from your side towards the end of the presentation. First of all, I'm very honored to have Ken Webster with us today. Ken is lecturer circular economy at Exeter University, board member of Madaster Foundation. It's an incredible honor for us to have him with us and to help us achieve our social objectives, and also to have him think with us about how we can bring circular economy to go. His experience is tremendous. He's writer of the book Circular Economy, A Well Flows, a recommendation, and also an associate at the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, the leading institute in the area of circular economy. So Ken, thank you very much. We look forward to actually get your view on what you think we need in order to get a circular economy amongst others in Switzerland, but obviously in the world. So please, I'm going to give you the remote control. This is test. Can you
hear me, by the way?
Hear you very well.
Let me just test whether this works. I can't.
Yes.
I can't see don't seem to have control at the moment.
When you click your right button, you should be able to go to the site.
Okay. I don't have a right button, it's a Mac, but
Yes,
yeah,
but it works.
Yeah, but it worked. There we go. Thank you very much. Welcome everyone. It's a very short introduction. These things to be able to do the basics of a circular economy very much anymore. The internet is littered with introductory 600 since about 2013, talks and all the rest of it. And to show that really the circular have quite a few, not only, I wouldn't even call them definite. And on this screen, it's got a few of them, and it ranges from its adjusted umbrella term covering all the activity to reduce. Walter Stahel, one of the originators of the thinking in this area, says it's an economic opportunity based on innovation. Fine, and I say, well, is it digital meets business models meet design in practice? The opportunity for some opportunities that technology is delivering these days. A researcher in Finland suggests it's really an attempt to change the logic of how the economy works. There we are. So let's just, there we go. Don't know why it's doing several. So it's running it. The Ellen MacArthur Foundation, they try and use that idea of rebuilding natural capitals, designing out waste and pollutions, and keeping products and materials in use. That's fine, but the problem is sometimes whereabouts are we in where are the boundaries for this work? And questions about to quite a challenge, because is the circular economy a tool for the economy as it is, or is it a pointer to what we might trying to move that? I'm not really getting much. Yeah,
there you are.
Something like with this. Go back.
Oh, there you are.
There we are. Now, yeah, somebody has to just move it on for me because it's ruining the flow. I don't really see that I have control. Let me just see if that will. No, it's not. Okay, so is it a changing system? Now, there are many claims to industrial system 3, 4 digitalization. Folks say that now discovers a nutrient economy, which I think is quite nice. They think it's the next big thing. It's the way in which we have to orientate systemic as you can get in a way. And I using metaphors and ideas towards one which draw on living systems. And that tells you very much that within a flow of energy, you can never beat the second law of thermodynamics. You can have pretty satisfactory circular loops, or circulation is the important thing. Next one, please. But in describing a circular economy, people often, perhaps deliberately, miss its potential. So quite being a different worldview, using system. We teach and learn, it's much more feedback driven. But for other people, the interest is in the next part of the sandwich, which is service systems, products, which is all fine. But the systemic view, there might be limitations to that. And finally, we know what sort of rules of the game there are. The game we're operating. Because if you're going to talk systemic, you can't just draw an artificial boundary very easily just around how did we get to where we are? This is quite ultimate scale and sale. We've been very successful in a way in investing with high fixed costs, scale production, so we get low variable costs. The problem on the right, call it the consequences of thinking this way, because we're really so good at it that overproduction seems statistics, and you need marketing, credit, you need built-in obsolescence, novelty, you want to transfer the responsibility to the purchaser, you don't want to see that product again. You export the environmental impact to people and the environment. You also need very stable political over years or whatever it is. The product if possible. So that's almost inherently quite difficult. But I think I'll just go to the bottom right for the minute. The opposite is to shift from access to rather than ownership. But in an era of low growth, changing demographics, an aging population, particularly in the West, of course, the problems of supply chains we've seen recently, climate change is the big one, and new technologies might not be able to run a scale and sale economy anyway. So what's the option for businesses? Many of them are beginning to think that we can flip this around, that if we have lower fixed costs, we might have then higher variable costs, but if we can up the utilization of the product, selling it perhaps as a service or selling access to it, one of a number of product and service systems, we can reinforce the positive benefits of this in a number of ways. And one of the biggest is that you get much more feedback about the product or the asset you're using. You can tailor that much more to the customer because you're getting feedback from the customer. And some people have taken as far as looking at components, also a product and service. So everything can work away potentially with large durables, much the fast-moving consumer goods. One note at the top, though, is that the number of nodes, many online platforms are using these network effects to get most of their value. This isn't low key. This isn't let's do it locally. This is shift scale to a network. Consultancies are this, and I've just picked up, as you like, the Circular Economy Handbook that they encourage people to read. And even they list 5 main approaches to it. Now, 3 of them are obviously very much digitally driven. To add in digital tracking of valuable materials, you might go back to this, might of new asset class. People talking about total product liability, in other words, this throughout its life and afterwards. Next. So, intense in a way that's driven opportunities. Is this right. Either or, in fact, these two are mostly put together in two ways. The slide should tell us something about that. Yeah, this diagram I use a lot on the right. Looking at systems with flow in them, we've always associated greater efficiency with improvement, but most people who understand systems understand that efficiency has to be resilience, and the interplay between the two ecosystems. On the left shows some of these in a living system. You've got bigger channels and you've changed one is. There, I'm just pushing on this a little bit because I'm good in just to talk about system work as an interplay between the two, and particularly people are talking about how do we add value with what is available, and all of these things depend on system conditions to encourage resilience structure. We need a viable economy, so it will be a mix of the exchange and resilience sort of functional efficiency ones. We're probably back into a little look. Economics to Seller is now also working with circular economy in Amsterdam. Now, there's two ways of looking at the circular economy, and both are big opportunities. If you're minded to keep the economy, which is the left-hand side, the 20th century economics, she lists 7 characteristics of it. The circular economy, talk about an embedded economy. It mentions a more systems approach rather than this traditional law and equilibrium, which is in a complex. And it's talking regenerative design. Quite attractive to some products component. However, because it's got a system, this is I think interesting. In the boxes listed the interesting bits from the previous slide, but it seems that more and more people are taking a complex approach and want to include is many, particularly young, the way that the world worked anyway. They want it to be different and bring a thriving economy at the same time. And so these systems, and then, because we've got a limited time, many people would say, me included, that materials are step one, since monetary and material cycles are completely symbiotic. And so in this circularity rather than extraction, it's about not rocket science, you know, it's not complicated, but it is a quite profound. That's where I'll leave it as a sort of high-level overview of where the thinking is. To debate systems. Thank you very much.
you can. Profound shift to economic change, and you're tapping into a point which still for many of us is, how do we do that? Hopefully from the audience that we hope to answer. Thank you very much. Lau to and who you closely. So Thomas, a visionary architect and long-term circular expert, a writer of the book Materials, together with founder of Madaster, a serial entrepreneur driving behind Madaster, innovative stop shop for reconstruction. Both of you, thank you very much for supporting us in Switzerland to actually make this happen. So I'm now going to give you remote control. And that should enable you to take over the slides as well. But if you need help, then let me know.
Okay, so we'll try, yeah. Until now, I don't see the button for presentation, like Ken. The button. Good afternoon. I'm sitting in Amsterdam, and I give introduction about why we have Madaster. I'm an architect. About some years ago that waste is material without identity. We thought maybe it's good to give all material an organized and documented identity. So I'm one of the founders from Madaster, and if you bring it all together in one, then the vision of Madaster world where humankind can use material forever. I mean, it sounds very simple, but in fact it's very complicated. Next slide, please. Because the context we have to realize is the Earth. And we all know a beautiful picture from 24th of December 1968. It's the first picture taken by a human being from the moon. And we saw this beautiful planet, and then we realized everything on this planet is not from us. It's not from us. It's not from Shell. It's not from Apple, not from Facebook. It's from no one. And if we realize, and if you realize that you're somewhere and nothing is from you, you know the host. And this is attitude if you're a guest of a host. Next, please. Carlos, can you do the next slide, please? Thank you. Yeah. That's one of the reasons. So now we are in Switzerland. So we are very happy from Madaster because Switzerland is the first country outside of the Netherlands where we organized the platform. And there's one very interesting thing in Switzerland because Switzerland has a lot of mountains. And there was a moment that Switzerland realizing, okay, these mountains, there will be no new mountains in the future. So we have what we have. So you started to write down everything about mountains, and you even give them a name. And you know everything about the mountains. Next, please. So in fact, this is the same what we do with Madaster. So let's see where we are. So first, our don't have what we don't have. And everything what is in a closed system is important and has a value. The next step is, if it's a closed system, that all limited edition, it's limited edition. Because everything is limited edition. Then the next step is waste. I mentioned already, waste in fact is a material without a, and if material is a limited edition, then we have to stop to waste it. And the way how to do it is to give materials a documented, registered, and archived. And will be where you have to have, if already a reality in them. Next, please. Thank you. Yes, that's what I mentioned before. This is the library of the data about the mountains, because now we have, and you write everything down. Materials are there, no scarcity material. Marloes, can you do the next slide, please? Thank you. So what does it for the designs? So is it just a question of to change the business model? No, we have to change design. This product has to be designed as a material depot. I mean, what is, if you wasted it makes no difference. So that means that every product has to be designed as material depot. The use of is a temporary one, and if nobody needs the product anymore, then we want still to use all the materials in it. So it's a depot. The next step is, if you can realize the financial is registered in Madaster, we know in every material the building, we call it the material bank. It's the first, it's the headquarters of the Traders Bank, and it's designed as, so the depreciation of this building is not going back.
Yeah.
Of them,
Also started.
someone can shut the microphone because
Hier mijn tracks.
Sorry. Can I don't know. Where's Mark?
Oh, ja, oké, ja goed.
So there's a phone. Please make sure you're mute. Thank you, Thomas. Please continue.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Yes, the last two slides. So this is about the 17th. You know them. It's a fantastic initiative in between nations. But if we read them all carefully, then we realize all 17 about what, and they're not about the why. But I think doing something, maybe that's not a good idea. So we thought about it. So maybe we need another change mind. As a human being, to change our mind, we have post. So we introduced the 18th SDG, and the 18th SDG is about attitude, and it's about the like materials. Maybe more wrap up about the background, why we started the initiative for Madaster. And Pablo, I think the next, yes. So I'll give it over to Pablo.
Thank you very much, and apologies for the interruption. I will now give the control to Pablo and it works. But Pablo, you also be able
Good, thank you for dialing in to the Madaster in Switzerland. It's an honor to all of you, and much you have it on mute. I already moved to the. Oh, this is typical. Can you go one slide, please? Marloes, can you click one back, because the controls do not work as the previous speakers. We started with the introduction by Ken, who is our board member, view from a scientific point, where he states that the transition economy, it is a systemic change, and that systemic change obviously needs. When I met Thomas a couple of years ago, it's great to, at least I think it's great to listen to his vision and his view on how we should change our mentality to how we cope with the planet on which we live. It's not it's not your planet, our planet. Get upon the planet is ours. But as from the entrepreneur part, and if we have science, we start on 3 pillars, and these are still crucial in what we do. So Madaster is not just a tool, it's not just a platform. That's our dream that we want to realize, because we all feel responsible that even though we can do our business activities, I want to think about my children's future as well. And I'm very glad that more and more people actually start to adopt that idea. So we want to share that vision. We want to explain to people that doing good doesn't mean that you have to stop what you're doing. You just have to change. And like or sessions, but I think you in Switzerland can recognize the picture on the left-hand side. We will get the vision and provide a link to organizations that say, hey, you got what you want to realize, and we want to support you. In Switzerland that say, this is a good initiative. And they even formed a Verein. They grouped to each other and said, we want to support this vision, we want to support this idea, we want to support the proposition that Madaster created with its, which is the pillar. It's a practical thing, and to not get a sexy thing, it's actually a boring thing. It's just register. It is something that keeps a lot of data that you can trust, where you can register materials from buildings, and we're working on material registration that's used in infrastructure like bridges or roads as well. Actually, not a very sexy thing, but it doesn't have to be sexy. We just want to do something that facilitates that transition towards a circular economy. So these are 3 pillars. Then by doing so, and the next slide, we want to create a system. Our ecosystem. Apologize that we put Madaster some links to the error. This wrong. Should be. Oh, is that correct?
Some happened. I'm changed now. Wait a second.
I think you have to do a share screen again. In the meantime, when we see Marloes trying to get the slides back in.
Yes. You're back.
No problem. So with that circular ecosystem, one initiatives can move linear to Madaster, one of the initiatives, but about the low that can see the benefit of day-to-day practice. If you are a construction company in Switzerland right now, it's logical that you're used to building buildings the way you've done in the past 10, 50, or maybe 100 years. So moving towards circularity requires some support, and that's what we want to do. And we want to help those companies with the support, with Madaster, to make circularity. Instead of moving to, moving to the next slide, that's perfect. So is set up to integrate with the local system. And this is a first sneak preview of the platform. It loves BIM. And for all of you that are not aware of what BIM is the 3D building information model that captures a lot of data. When you design a building, when you redesign it, and when you do that with technology of BIM, all the data, all the information is available. We connect all sorts of different public sources. The source of EcoInvent, a Swiss organization that provides data on materials used, so-called LCA data, life cycle data. By linking it, we can enrich the data that we get from building information models from individual buildings. And that all together leads to a material passport, a evaluation, or a CO2 carbon calculation. That's what we can do with the platform, with that register. But the most important thing on this picture is on the right-hand side. It's a third-party solutions and services. Madaster is just a register. What you can do with the register is you can connect it to, for instance, marketplaces, where you can trade reused materials. You can connect it to banks or to risk managers, where you can connect it to the government so they can look into all the data and to support that transition towards a circular economy. The picture you all see is we're ready for it. We want to get started. Marloes, together with all our candidates, organized today to actually get started. Is there. We look forward to connecting in person. Look forward to connecting you with your business and to help you make that transition towards the circular economy. Make sure that in times of change, you can continue doing your business, doing the activities that you do, supported with a register like Madaster. Thank you for your time. And now back to you again.
Thank you, Pablo. Thank you, Thomas. I think without your visionary perspective, we would not have been here in this room together with all those people online. It's a pleasure working with all of you, but the question that we often get asked is, why do we start in Switzerland? Switzerland, there's actually a lot of things happen, and the relevance of what is happening in Switzerland is, for some things, quite clear. We all realize it's getting warmer. We also realize through COVID that we actually need a healthier working and living environment. What is a little bit less visible is that we need to manage our waste flows. And as Thomas described it, there is no waste because every resource is a limited edition and therefore should get an identity. If we treat it like waste, though, everything we don't need, we will actually create and lose a lot of resources and create a lot of CO2 emissions. And especially that's the case in the built environment. So in Switzerland, what is happening, there's quite a few initiatives going on. Sustainable development, so the Paris goals, then the VVEA, which is the German version of the waste regulation to reduce waste and to make sure that all new buildings have concepts at the start of the construction. There's Digital Switzerland, there's reports from the Ministry of Environmental Affairs about consolidating and collaboration in the reuse activities. And then there's also just recently been an announcement from the Council of States that actually has accepted a motion to drive circular economy and to optimize the CO2 exhaust in Switzerland. So why Madaster? Madaster is basically a supporting tool. As Pablo has mentioned it just before, it's a tool. It's very simple. It's maybe even a little bit boring, but it's a tool that should help the built environment and create a material cadastre that generates management transparency and provides technical details for the engineers that actually allow them to work in a different way. And it is enabling a collaborative ecosystem in which also third-party solutions can be connected, so that we don't just use it as a static cadastre, but we use it as an ecosystem where we have many opportunities to use this information. So who made it happen? We have mentioned it before. These have been a driving force to actually enable us to get this far. Great companies with a lot of power in the market. We've actually have a number of 11 companies and organizations that have contributed to bringing it this far. In order for you to understand what their initiative have been to join, I can introduce you to Vincent Eckert from Swiss Re, Head of Internal Environmental Management, and Karin Vogt from Prime Site Immobilie, Head of Portfolio Management. Now, first of all, Vincent, may I ask you, as Head of Environmental Management within Swiss Re and also CEO of the Swiss Climate Foundation, why it's so important for you from a Swiss Re perspective to drive circular economy forward?
Thank you very much, Marloes, and good afternoon, everyone. Swiss Re is a reinsurance or an insurance, and the main business is doing insurance. And doing insurance is nothing than understanding the risk and understanding the value at risk. And for a very long-term view, having such a cadastre, we hope, might help us when most of the buildings are registered, that we can better understand and avoid accidents like it happened in England. You probably recognize the picture. At the same time, an insurance has generally a lot of assets in order to be able to generate the money that is needed in case of a payment. And there we have assets in real estate, and there we want to improve value. So also on the long term, having Madaster will help us. But first of all, we want to learn. And it was mentioned by my previous speaker. Yeah, it's a quite a bigger mindset change in the processes that we need to introduce. And we want to learn and showcase. And the picture that you see on the right is one building that we are currently dismantling and will be rebuilt, and we try to apply there. But probably one of the other reasons why we are participating to that is that we have committed very heavily into improving or avoiding climate change. And I really believe that we cannot get right with a net zero commitment if we don't reach a circular economy. And we have committed to be net zero in operations by 2030 and in our products and offerings by 2050. And this is a huge journey. I have no clue how we will be there, because somehow we insure the world. So we need to make sure that the world is there by 2050. And we need, again, to learn, and Madaster is one place to do so. And then is the question, well, why Switzerland? Finally, we are a global company. Our business is overall over the world. Well, construction is local, so we really need to understand it locally. And somewhere it has to start, and it was very good that we could start in Switzerland. I'm very happy about that. On the long term, we really hope that it will deploy all over the world, and that we can run our business globally with this understanding. And I'm referring to this network of solution. Hopefully at some point in time, we can also plug our solutions along that and take value of the system. So I'm really extremely pleased that Switzerland is a first mover, because we can learn and take advantage. And I think the most important point is Madaster is an enabler, and we will need this enabler. And the vision of Swiss Re is to make the world more resilient, and we will need these enabling tools to go there. I think this is kind of good reasons to be part of that very amazing story.
Thank you, Vincent. Thank you very much for your drive. Thank you also for giving us a perspective that potentially insurance companies can help Swiss entrepreneurs to actually drive this circular journey, which actually should be something that we do all together. So now I'm happy to introduce you to Karin Vogt. Karin is an all-rounder in construction, an all-rounder in architecture and real estate management. She's also a member of the board of Madaster Switzerland, and is actually very ambitious in implementing the solution and learning from applying it into practice. Thank you, Karin, for being here with us and telling a little bit about your experience and your journey towards circular construction.
Thank you, Marloes. And welcome also from my part. Sustainability is essential at Swiss prime site Immobilien. Therefore, the circular economy, and thus also Madaster, play an important role for us. As you have heard, the identification of materials helps to avoid waste. And also worthless demolition material thus becomes a valuable material storage. Currently, it is very difficult with our buildings to identify construction materials used. It's like here, you see the Müllerstraße. It's one of our total renovation projects. Our architect precisely records the type of material, the quantity, and the position, as well as we want to reuse them. This recycling loop makes very much sense for some materials, such as aluminium or glass or other materials. With Madaster's online database, in future we will know which materials and products we use in the building. Within the project, the material will be classified into main groups according to a specific regulation called EBKPH. In addition, we receive the information about the mass, origin, pre-processing, and position of the material within the building. So moreover, not only this important material knowledge helps us for the reuse of the material, we can derive further topics with the database we get from Madaster. It's important for the calculation of the CO2 emissions of the materials, use of BIM data in operation on the Madaster platform, and also knowledge of the contaminated sites and the built material and so on. There are a lot of uses from this data. In summary, I can say Madaster helps us with a portfolio to know it better, to know the materials we own, and this information become increasingly important for the future, in the future, for the sustainability, and also for the associated cycle, which is very important for us.
Thank you, Karin. Thank you. A very practical application, not without difficulties. The Müllerstraße is a project, but one of the most important things that we experience is the learning. Because if we would know how to create a circular economy, we would already be there because it makes so much sense. So thank you very much, Karin, for your contribution and also your dedication to bringing it into practice.
You're welcome.
So Madaster has an ecosystem, and I've mentioned that before. Pablo has mentioned it, Karin has mentioned it just before. The ecosystem is incredibly important. First of all, because there's no way around collaboration, but second also because we actually needed to create Swiss standards in order for Madaster to be in Switzerland. So at the very beginning we had support from CRB, who have provided us with the EBKPH or the ECCC, that's the French version of the same announcement, which helped us to implement the standard, which is used to record, compare, and evaluate building cost based on a particular classification. This classification is extremely important when we build digitally, and it actually enabled us to start working this into a Swiss environment. In addition, we also have a connection, an open API connection with BuildUp, which enables us to connect to millions of products, so millions of construction products in the Swiss market that can be immediately connected to material passports. A valuable contribution to Helvetisize, as we call it in our German, the Helvetisierung, the Helvetisation from the Madaster platform has been enabled through the collaboration with these two partners. What we also have is two brand new partners, and I'm very proud to announce these two to all of you today. Our first service partners for Madaster services in Switzerland that are driving circularity in construction. First of all, ZPF Ingenieure, an organization that advises clients and planning partners throughout all construction phases and offering high quality architecture and construction. Another organization called GS1, in name unknown, in daily life very much known to all of you. GS1 is a global NGO that is working on optimizing value chains across the world in all industries, amongst others in construction, and they are the provider of the GTIN, the global trade item. The GTIN number, previously known as EAN, is the barcode that you see on every consumer product that you have in your hands. Now with GS1 Switzerland, we're working on a solution to apply this barcoding also to construction material, making sure that we get control over the management and the supply chain, and enabling also return logistics for a circular built environment. So thank you very much for your trust and contribution. I would now like to introduce you to Jacqueline Pauli, the first partner of Madaster Services and managing partner of ZPF Ingenieur. She's a civil engineer from APFL and ETH Zurich, and she's specialized in constructional design. She's a lecturer also in building material at ETH Zurich, at the Department of Architecture. Jacqueline, I will not give you, try to give you the control. I will keep it with me, and I kind of like estimate when I will switch to the next slide. Welcome, and go ahead.
Thank you, Marloes. That's just fine if you keep the control. So thanks for the introduction, and thanks to everyone who joined in and is listening today. I have the pleasure to say a few words about our company and the vision that we have and that we share in a way with the founders of Madaster for the future of construction in Switzerland. Maybe I start with where I all came from. I have met Marloes and became aware of Madaster Platform a little more than a year ago, and was actually immediately caught by the idea behind the whole concept. Because at ZPF, as she already mentioned, we advise and support clients and planning partners from the initial idea onward throughout all processes pertaining to construction. We do competition design planning, implementation planning, and then in the end, the site supervision. Technically demanding large-scale engineering projects, such as museums, industrial buildings, hospitals, and schools, for example. In addition to the structural engineering, we also offer the planning of facades, building physics, and support in the areas of sustainability in construction. And all of this we combine, of course, with the latest technologies of BIM workflows that we actually have implemented in the company as early as 2006. So we do have quite a bit of experience in that field as well. And we have the strong belief that if we can combine our technical knowledge, our expertise in BIM, and our expertise in the planning and execution of large-scale projects with professional investors and with famous architects, if we combine this with circular economy and sustainable construction methods, then we may actually make a real change. And we've all heard by now that we kind of have to change the way that we build our world. So this is actually why we are very proud of being the first, or among the first, service partners of Madaster Switzerland. And so we can offer to this concept is that we can make your BIM models fit and compatible with Madaster requirements, and this way lead the way to the material passports that there has been quite a bit of talking about right now, and for all kinds of existing buildings. We will try and advise you in construction techniques and materials that actually support circularity when it comes to new buildings, so which materials and construction methods will be suitable and will be dismountable and recyclable in the end. And we can also do analysis of the existing buildings, and together with you analyze your buildings, how have they been constructed, what material have been used, and what of this can maybe be reused, recycled, and how much of it really in the end has to be disposed. So this is actually the way we hope to play our part and then bring into the equation the things that we are best in, to make the vision of circular construction in Switzerland actually come true and come alive.
Thank you, Jacqueline. And a great example of how we can combine knowledge and expertise. We provide a platform, a form of a library, where ZPF can actually upload their models and show the owners and the real estate industry on what the impact is of their constructions, both environmental perspective, but also on a longevity perspective in the material choice. So thank you very much, Jacqueline, for being with us today and also being with us going forward. I see some very interesting projects that you have worked on, and it would be an honor to have on some of those future projects also a material passport. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you.
So moving on, the Madaster Material Passport. What is it exactly? Because we've heard about it, but it is, besides maybe this tool that could be helpful, also an enabler to drive a transition. And transitions are beautiful on slides, and transitions are also very interesting to talk about, but transitions need support. And not only support from a technical level, which is something that happens quite often, that you just get a technical perspective. We need to enable the decision makers in the industry. So the decision maker in the industry of real estate and construction are the owners, the investment funds, the large real estate owners having a huge impact of our world. And we need to give them a managerial tool that enables them to take different decisions. So what I want to say here is that Madaster is a tool which provides support. It is very technical, but it's also very high level at the same time. So what I want to do is to give you a first overview on the basis of an actual example in Switzerland. But it's just an initial perspective. There's a lot more detail behind it we could show you when you are interested. So the urban mining unit is NEST is a vertical community in Dubendorf, and it's basically a living lab where mining is used as a apartment that is created in such a way that all the materials either reusable, recyclable, or compostable. And it's been designed by Werner Sobeck and the architects Cable and Felix. And Felix has made a material passport as part of his PhD paper on this construction. So based on this example, I'll give you a quick overview of what it looks like. So Madaster, first of all, is a general overview of building information. It provides you with building located, what kind of labels there are connected to the buildings, if there are any certificates, and what the energy performance is. What you see in this overview is that the urban mining unit does not have a label, because there are so few labels. Living, so building, which can be adjusted on the needs of the building. So some buildings are built for 80 years, buildings are built for 7 years, which is the case of the urban mining unit. Then the next overview you could have is a building dossier. This is the place where you can store and file all your documentation, and it gives you also there's your source file actually works. Unit import template from Madaster, document all the individual elements and products that have been building. Because it's all it is our, of course, to make all the materials and products we purchased order basic layers is that % of the structure of the urban mine. What is the financial value? Thomas has actually made a point out of the financial value. It also had a future value. As we've created an indicator to provide this material a perspective, so the historic value after deconstruction. This information is based on from stock markets or other databases that are connected to our platform. Documents are easily reversible. Demolition costs are low, and therefore the maintenance is guaranteed because it's all built in such a way that you don't need to demolish out and use it in another location. The circularity index being created by McCarthy circularity overview of the circularity of your complete building. Visualizes this across the whole level and calculates of the percentage of recycled and reused material constructed. So measures this is as of the end of this year, health and sustainability of the materials, and it also provides insight in the deconstruction and reconstruction of the. This compares this potential to compare materials and enables you to select environmental impact. And in the case, the highest score ever in terms of circularity, 96%, really very high. It's also built to be circular. So in real life, we set ourselves less ambitious, but it is possible products in the market. A few examples on recycling reuse unit. There's there is used recycled glass used for wall constructions, and there is used to create. Is how it's been constructed in a reverse ability. It's in such a way that everything first, and this actually shows into a very complete and material passport. So as a first overview of the material passport, there's a lot of detail behind every screen. We can show you basically the last building when it's documented. It might not be the perfect solution for every single individual that is involved in construction, but if we do not start now, we still have solve in 40 years, which we actually Madaster is servicing all stakeholders across the entire building. We have an offering for owners, both private business as well as governmental owners and investors. And we also offering for designers, construction companies, so basically all parties serve in construction situation. For owners, see as a benefit is that they can manage data. They have control over their assets, and they can enable a efficient collaboration between all stakeholders in the built environment. They also get insight and valuation on their assets and enable them to make smart decisions around financial, environmental, health, and circular insights. So the supplier, the architects, the construction companies, the consultants, but also demolition degree perspective on your customers' buildings. It enables you to come up with new and innovative solutions and offer your customers new potential by being a pioneer in driving a circular economy. Nowadays, more sustainable and set themselves sustainability goals, Madaster is a supporting tool that allows you to take those decisions in fact based on data. So our call to action to you today is to register on madaster.ch. There is information about the platform as such. There is an offering for real estate owners. You can register immediately on the platform. And there's also an offering for partners. We have both data partners, whereas the first two that I introduced to you today, service. The solution partners are partners that actually provide these third-party solution tech or network, like a build-up, for example. And data partners are organizations like the CRB that have helped us with creating a Swiss solution for the Madaster platform. This was our story of why we think we need to move towards a circular economy. We believe Switzerland is a concrete market, a very high quality market in which we can do so. There's a lot of building going on, material coming free that we should actually secure for future generations as well. So we've now the potential to move to the questions. One thing that I got when I remove now from the video screen, if everybody would be able to turn on their video so we can actually see how many people are with us today, which if I had a quick preview was quite a lot. So I will stop sharing my screen and then we will see all of you online. Quite impressive. I have heard that we can only see 50 people at it. This is really looking fabulous. Thank you for joining all of us. Yeah, we can wave. Very nice. In the meantime, we've received quite a few questions, and I'm reading them from the screen just on the left. So there's a question from Suzanne Elias. How could or does Madaster help Strategy 20? Well, that's a very good question because energy strategy is relevant not only in Switzerland but basically all over the world. Well, by providing an overview of which materials have a better impact. We are working on a solution to be delivered on the short within 6 months is a CO2 calculator. So that enables you to guide your suppliers internally of the CO2 footprint, so the embedded carbon. Your buildings. We have showing everybody's screen also. Is very good. A second question that was asked was, what percentage of Madaster's material library is compatible with the Swiss ACCC, which is the EBKP? That's a very good question. The ACCC or the EBKP is a method which we use to structure the products and materials. So that basically means that when a product or material is connected and we know which element, which volume, which location, then it is completely compatible to EBKP or ACCC. But it is a requirement that within the planning phase, which is outside of Madaster, you will use this classification, which is one of the challenges I think we have in the industry, because the BKP, or in French probably the CCC, is more commonly used. But there are discussions the organization enabling the classification, and we are working together and seeing how we can drive this forward. Another question from Fabian Herman. That was the timer that we are on time, so that's very good. First question from Fabian is, at what plan at what planning process? I can say the earlier you start, the better it is, because you can already upload your concepts, so your concept Madaster, and make decisions about the. So it is or the to actually compare different concepts provided by different architects. So the better, and it's also an opportunity to actually integrate Madaster as an outcome when you actually do the tender process. Then when you indicate very early on that you would like to have a material passport that's based on A or the C, the A system, you also output actually Fabian was about how to bring Madaster to class when they're launching a project. Well, that's a very good question. If you have access to our platform, it means that you could become a service partner to an enterprise license. You can add your plans, your concept is, which could then be then outcome of your concept owner and explain to them what the reason is over the others, because you have insight, you provide data with your question, Fabian. I can actually see you on the screen. Another question from Hans Hauri. Question to Bafu. Well, I'm not sure if Bafu is on the call, but I'll read out the question and see what I can do. I've released a report on recycling in construction material. How do they think to influence economy in construction? I think that's a fabulous question. I would love to hear someone from Bafu when they're on the line, if there are any volunteers. But otherwise, I definitely in our verein, in our association, play a role in driving supportive regulation to also take the lead. Answer to a question to all of you, you can read .ch, where we are pretty active in what's going on in regards to for the questions. I actually have a book that is all these are all the received. No further questions. I would like to thank you very much. I would like to invite you to there's a little remark there for the French part of Switzerland. The website still needs to happen, but you have an English version. Our contact details I will show on there with all participants. Oh yeah. Can you see it? How can I share my screen? Technical. See how you contact me, but I think that's you will find me on Madaster CH. You will find also my colleague Shores and Anja on the website. Please to be in touch with you and hope to hear and see you very much. Thank you, and once again for being able to serve us. Thank you, Ken. Thank you, Pablo. Thank you, Thomas. Thank you, Jacqueline. Thank you, Karin, for to all our candidates who've actually made this happen. Quite a few. Pleasure to go this far. More looking forward to our next steps because it's only getting started now. We're going to lovely evening. Cool.
Super.
Thank you.